Okay, carry on.
It's so exciting! Does it close?
How many pounds you got?
Got 30.
On a day when the locomotive crew is doing a slow fire up, they're experimenting with a different steam whistle, just for fun.
So I'll pull this open and then maybe, does it open more now?
This is a standard step-top type of whistle. It's a 4-chime or 5-chime, I'm not sure which. And even with low steam pressure, they're having fun. During 2024, this first year of the new era of the recently rebuilt Hillcrest No.1 Shay, the locomotive has worn 4 different whistles, including this one today. The first is this brass barrel whistle, previously used in the early years of the museum on the No.24 locomotive Susie. This was used during the first few trial runs in spring 2024. The whistle was shorter, so they used it to fit into the shed that they were using at that time. Here's how it sounded. Starting with trials in April and continuing in service until late August, they used this 4-chime Kinsley, also a barrel model. And here's how it sounded. Starting on August 31st, they used this 3-chime Crosby whistle. And here's how it sounded with Nolan playing the whistle. And following the one-day experiment with this step-top whistle, they've returned to the 3-chime Crosby for the Halloween train events. So with that out of the way, let's talk a bit more about this step-top whistle. The whistle comes from Locomotive 1044, which was a 1929 built Porter locomotive, and it's well known on Vancouver Island for having worked for Victoria Lumber and Manufacturing, which became MacMillan Bloedel, and the whistle was last heard likely in 1969 when the locomotive's working days ended, working at the Chemainus log dump. So how did this whistle end up in the care of the BC Forest Discovery Centre? Well, after the locomotive was set up for display in the municipality of North Cowichan, the municipality was concerned that various items from the locomotive could be lost to vandalism or theft, and so items such as the whistle were given to the BC Forest Museum for safekeeping. The remainder of this video shows the locomotive crew as they continue to test this whistle for fun, and they're going to use it on a trial lap this day as they work preparing the locomotive for the Halloween train season.
How's it going, Fred? So far, so good.
It sounded better the last time.
We had 100 pounds of air on it last time. We got 50 pounds of steam.
It might be okay, yeah.
It's definitely not as loud when you're on the course. But I'm not getting nearly as much whistle valve as you did with the cold. First is the cow. Now here's the valve whistle. Same thing. Good enough. That time sounded the same to me. I guess it's pretty well. I actually just got that back. Okay. Definitely different.
Let's do a walk around.
The Shay locomotive did a test lap on the visitor train track, and I took that opportunity to record the whistle from afar. I find that my best recordings of the whistle are when I am not immediately nearby the whistle. Distance is good.
Yeah, I like the other one 10 times more.
Always got the headlight on. Good. Good, good, good. Yeah.
The Hillcrest No. 1 is a steam locomotive built to the patented design of Ephraim Shay by Lima Locomotive Works in Lima, Ohio, USA. This locomotive is a 24-ton Class B model Shay. That means 3 cylinders and 2 trucks, and its actual present-era weight is around 28 tons. This Shay was built by Lima in 1920 as a narrow-gauge, oil-burning stock model. She was construction number 3147. Hillcrest Lumber Company on Vancouver Island was looking for a new standard gauge small locomotive, and they ordered this one, pending a conversion at the Ohio factory to standard gauge and wood burning. She was delivered to Hillcrest Lumber on Vancouver Island in early 1921, and she worked for Hillcrest Lumber and then for MacMillan and Munn, both in the Satlam area of the Cowichan Valley. She eventually ended up for resale at Mayo Lumber in 1943. She was sold to the Osborne Bay Wharf Company and worked a forest industry deep-sea wharf at Crofton from 1947 to 1963. She then went to Hillcrest Lumber at Massachi Lake for the purpose of conversion back to narrow gauge and oil burning in preparation for its donation to the newly formed Cowichan Valley Forest Museum for its narrow gauge Cowichan Valley Railway visitor train. The Forest Museum opened to the public in May 1965. The Hillcrest No. 1 was one of the steam locomotives that regularly pulled a visitor train at the Forest Museum, and it did this from the late 1960s until the late 1990s. By the way, the Forest Museum is now known as the BC Forest Discovery Centre, and the Hillcrest No. 1 is the locomotive that appears on the centre's logo. After this locomotive's most recent working era ended in 1998, there followed a period of display and storage pending an eventual rebuild. That rebuild project commenced in 2016 and was completed in 2024, with many challenges met by the tenacity and generosity of volunteers, donors, and sponsor suppliers. I was a latecomer in documenting this project, starting with glimpses of various pieces outside the lower shed in 2021. Over the next 3 years, I saw more and more of the project, including various unpowered moves, and then eventually with the Shay under steam doing trials on the main line. And then on June 28, 2024, the first passenger trip after the rebuild project.